The Bhakti literature, mostly Puranas and hagiographical texts, provide information about the religious conflicts in Tamil Nadu. Thevaram consists of the hymns by the three Nayanmars, Appar, Thirunavukarasar, Sambandar, Thiruñana Sambandar and Sundarar. Together, these constitute the seven of the 12 Saiva Tirumurais. The eighth Tirumurai consists of the hymns of Manika Vasagar. Many of these hymns articulate their criticism of Jainism and Buddhism. Periya Puranam by Sekilar, which narrates the stories of the 63 Nayanmars. Nayanmars is an important source for the study of the Bhakti movement. The hymns of the Vaishnava saints, all verses are compiled as Nalayara Divya Prabandham. The importance of the Bhakti poems lie in the fact that they are still read, sung and revered by people, and they form important part of the Tamil literary tradition. Epigraphical sources and iconography also provide much information. The earliest instances of conflict between Saivism and Vaishnavism on the one hand and Sramanic sects of Buddhism and Jainism on the other hand occurred during the Pallava period. Mahendra Varman Pallava I, a Jain by faith, persecuted those belonging to other religions. Appar, a Jaina in his early life, called Dharmasena, later turned to Saivism under the influence of his sister. Mahendra Varma, at the instance of these Jaina advisors, tried to reconvert Appar first by persuasion and then by persecution, but it eventually ended in the king's himself conversion to Saivism. According to tradition, Sambandar defeated the Jains in a theological debate and consequently his opponents were impaled. Maravarman Arikesari, 640 to 670, also known as Kun Pandian, who converted from Saivism to Jainism, was later reconverted under the influence of Sambandar. According to a Saivite legend, after his reconversion, he ordered a massacre of Jains in Sambandam, a village in Madurai district. The philosophical treatises such as the Saiva Siddhanta text contained elaborate disputations of Buddhist and Jain philosophies. Some of the Saiva Siddhanta texts such as Siva Jnana Siddhiyar contain a separate section called Parapakam, which essentially refute Buddhist and Jain theological arguments. Bhakti literature and hagiography narrate instances of conflict and defeat of heterodoxy. The Vedic Hinduism was transformed by the conflict with Buddhism and Jainism. When the opportunity of the Bhakti movement in South India reached its when the popularity of the Bhakti movement in South India reached its peak, the doctrine of Bhakti was expounded at the philosophical level by a series of Vaishnava scholars and saints. Ramanujar expounded the philosophy known as Vishishtadvaita or qualified monism. His teaching qualified Adi Shankara's emphasis on absolute monism or the oneness of the Supreme and the souls. If the Bhakti movement flourished in the Tamil country from the 7th century, it was only from the 15th century that there was an extraordinary outburst of devotional poetry in North India. The society had degenerated to a caste-ridden community with practice of segregation, polytheism and idolatry. The religious-minded saints raised their voice of protest against rites and ceremonies. Vaishnava Bhakti movement came to be launched. The monotheists followed a path which independent of dominant religions of the time, Hinduism and Islam. They denied their allegiance to either of them and criticized superstitious and orthodox elements of both the religions. The advent of Islam with the Turkish conquest posed a challenge to Vedic scholars and priests. By the end of the 14th century, Islam had spread to large parts of India. A considerable section of the Indian population had taken to Islam. Combined with state power, the universal message of Islam with emphasis on equality attracted the lower sections of society. The new political and social situation created conditions for the growth of non-conformist movements with anti-caste, anti-Vedic and anti-Quranic traditions. The resultant changes in the cultural sphere were the development of regional languages, the evolution of Hindustani and of Indo-Muslim music and architecture. The Hindu response to Muslim political power was complex. While there was no considerable hostility to the new religion, there was a tendency to internal reform to strengthen Hinduism so as to face the challenge. An important outcome was the encounter of the rise of syncretic sects and major poets such as saints such as Kabir, Guru Nanak, and Ravidas